everybody, and welcome back to the Itsy Bitsy Zoomcast. We are in season 4 of our show. So exciting, Sheila.
It's so exciting, Liz. I can't believe we're at season 4, episode 1, and we have a really exciting topic this season, and it's called Mythbusters. So we are going to be dispelling myths and misconceptions about how important the early years are. So I'm back this season with Liz Charlene Tate from Strong Start, and I have my amazing early childhood practicum students with us again this semester for their service learning project. So on today's episode, I have Shauna Glucksman. Shauna, can you wave?
Hi.
Shauna is a local family childcare owner, and she's going to be a part of today's conversation. And also as a student with us today, I have Justin Misery, and Justin is a local preschool teacher.
So glad you could be with us.
Of course, we always like to start our season with Kim Quinlan. I think you've been on the first episode of every season. So Kim, do you want to introduce yourself again for our new viewers?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I love to get to come back and kick off the seasons with you guys each year. My name is Kim Quinlan. I'm the Director of Early Childhood Grant Initiatives at Holyoke Community College. In that role, I get to work with folks who implement our career pathway services as well as our Strong Start Professional Development Center. So thank you for having me. And I am noticing from this new format that things have changed a little bit on the Itsy Bitsy this year. And I'm really excited to learn more about what this myth busting part is going to be. And so can you tell us a little bit more about the shift from last year's more interview style to this year's Mythbuster theme?
You want to take that, Sheila?
Sure. One of the things Liz and I noticed is that the students were getting really comfortable with the interview style, but when I talk with the students, they actually have a lot to share too. So Liz and I wanted to be really intentional about how we approached this season and not only give the students an opportunity to have more voice, but push them to do that. So sorry, Justin and Shauna, but you're just too brilliant and I have to share you. And the world needs to hear all the things that you know and have experienced. So instead of being so scripted, which was a real safety net for us as we got this initiative off the ground, we're ready. We're ready to have a more conversational style episode. And Liz made the really good point that some folks don't necessarily want to watch, but they want to listen while they're in their car or taking a walk. And a conversation style is just much more easy to listen to. And it elevates the student's voice. And we're all about that.
Absolutely. And something else that we've been, some of the feedback we've been getting is the idea of considering moving into a podcast. And we're not ready to dive right into that yet. There's a lot of learning that will have to happen to make that shift. So we thought if we moved away from that interview style and into something that's more conversational, we could get a sense for ourselves of how it feels and what it's like. So This is sort of a whole new terrain for all of us.
Sure is. And, you know, the Mythbusters idea really came from just general conversations Liz and I have with the folks that she coaches and the students that I teach. There's always a frustration around, oh, I wish people understood how important it is what we do. Oh, I wish people knew this. So we started playing with this idea of having this season be called FYI. For your information, you know, all the things we wish you knew about early childhood. And we brought this to a group of folks we know, and Donna Danette was like, you guys are Mythbusters. So that kind of grew from Donna's idea, and the students have kind of gotten into it. We've been having some discussions on our Moodle platform, which is where we have kind of virtual conversations with practicum students. And they've gotten really into this idea and feel really passionate about the things that they wish the general public knew about our work. So here we are.
So how about we just share what our myths are or misconceptions that we're going to explore this season. And then I'd love to hear from Shauna and Justin about some of the ideas they've been having with you. So I will say the first one that we're going to tackle next week is circle time. And busting through some ideas about how it should go or how it could go.
Yeah.
What's the next one after that, Sheila?
After that, I think we talk about kindergarten readiness. Maybe that's not next, but I guess the order doesn't really matter. But I'm excited about what kindergarten readiness really means and what do kindergarten teachers really look for and what is the role of early educators in preparing children for kindergarten. And why do we have to prepare kids for everything? Why can't they just have a genuine existence that's valuable as they are? So that's going to be a really great conversation. Then
What's
what?
wonderful about that one is that we have 2 kindergarten teachers coming on to talk with us. So that's really exciting to be able to bring in 2K teachers from the public school systems.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that Justin and Shauna both grapple with as well, is sometimes families want to make sure that their child is ready for kindergarten and ready for that next step. So Justin, I see you making some really interested faces. Do you have something you want to share there?
I mean, yeah, I do. Like, I feel like sometimes I feel there's a lot of pressure put onto us. Like, yes, like I understand that we have to like prepare them for their learning, but we also have to understand that like so many things in like this field are so like universal, and things change and we adapt new ways of doing things. So sometimes it's like hard to really like, be so strict about it, I guess. Like we have to be like flexible, and that's like what I wish more people understood and like focus on, like the flexibility aspect of it in preparation, if that makes any sort of sense at all. But
It totally does, Justin. I think you're describing something that the word fluid was in my mind as you were describing what you're thinking. This idea that children don't go through milestones as if there's a red light, green light, stop, go. It's life, and how can we think about this as smoothly moving through their lives, and that what's happening in preschool is not a trial run. This is their life. And so as they're transitioning and moving into the public school system or moving into kindergarten, wherever they land, it's not a trial run. So how can we think about that in a way that's more fluid for them? Thank you. One of the other episodes we're going to talk about our read alouds and how to read books to kids. It's a beautiful art form. And where do screens fit into read alouds anyway? So we're excited about that one because we have folks from the Eric Carle Museum joining us, as well as author Megan Lambert coming on. So that she wrote a book called The Whole Book Approach. So we're really excited that she was able to join us for that episode.
That's going to be a really great episode. And Shauna, I know that's something that you are really passionate about in your family and home childcare, is how often you read to the children that you take care of. Do you feel like that's a bonding experience and a really relational approach to the way you care for the children?
With my children, they just love to read books. Like they'll bring me books. They always want to discover new books. I have a lot of different options and I switch them out here and there, so I can like rotate them. But I feel like it is a bonding experience, and it gives the children opportunity to ask questions and really think about what's going on in the story. And then I love to plan my lessons off of books, because I just feel like that's a great way to introduce something new, is a book. So that's how I feel about books.
I knew you were passionate about books, and you often write about reading with the children and how sweet it is to bond with them, and how it's a great way to interact with different age groups all at the same time. So especially when you're balancing that in your family childcare home. Oh, I'm so glad you shared that. Another one we're going to talk about is social emotional development, and how important children's feelings are, and this idea that children are resilient or they won't remember. So if they have big feelings, they'll be fine. And how can we really validate that, yes, they do have big feelings and they deserve our respect and attention. So that's something we're really looking forward to exploring.
I'm so thrilled that that's showing up on your Mythbusters this year, because I think if we've learned nothing from the pandemic in the last 2 years, is that not only are children grappling with significant social emotional issues, but so are their caregivers. Mm-hmm. And so I think that students, teachers, all of the educators that we work with in this field really need sort of a reframe of how important it is to pay attention to social emotional growth, development, delays, if that's what it is, issues that children and their caregivers are dealing with. So I think this is a really important topic, and I'm glad that it made it to your list this year.
One of the big things that happened in my house that made me feel like, wow, we really need to address this is my daughter Penny, she's 5. but I think she was 4 when she said this. She was doing something and couldn't get her thoughts out or her feelings out verbally. And she says, "I wish my hair could show my emotions."
Oh,
That
wow.
she just, because she didn't have the words yet. And I think often we always tell children, we use your words. If you're upset, use your words, but they don't have them all yet. And it's our role to give them those words. And she got to the point where she didn't have the words for the feeling. And gosh, wouldn't it be better if her hair could just show it? And I just thought, wow, that is such a startling example. And, she was very lucky during the pandemic to be able to go to a program that was able to stay open most of the time, very successfully. But even she was feeling a big loss of her relationships with other children and with family members and all of it. But yeah, I wish my hair could show my emotions. And she just, and I'll never forget her little face. So I can't wait to dig into that one.
Yeah. The thing is, there's this idea around what is emotional literacy and how to teach that to children. And it isn't just about moving beyond happy, sad, mad, glad, right? It's about taking the time to be with them in the unknown and for them to have feelings that might be big or overwhelming. They might look like tantrums, but they are always communicating to us, and it's
Right.
real. It's real for them. This isn't a trial run, like I said before, and so it's not just about being able to teach them and to give them those words, but to also understand how to read them, how to interpret what they're saying, because the way that young children, young people speak, it's different than what we have figured out as adults. And so it behooves us to figure out how to understand and speak their language, not just have them needing to learn ours, if that makes sense.
I think that speaks to Justin's point about fluidity and having to change the pace. You can have all these, rigorous expectations, but, the academic side is nothing if you don't have the relationships and the social emotional piece. That's first, always. And I think, Justin, you've shared a lot of that about how you really work hard to build relationships with your students. Do you want to talk about that a little?
So I've had the greatest opportunity to get to involve myself with my students, like form these relationships with them. And it is important because then, they have this trust in you, and something that's super important to me as their teacher, that for them to confide in me in ways that maybe they only feel comfortable doing with their parents, or I like to be somebody else that they can come and talk to, or just to trust in general, because it's so important for them in their lives to have somebody else other than a parent or a guardian or whoever, caregiver. It's really I receive things all the time where kids will be like, "Oh, I love Mr. Justin," or "Oh, I can't wait to see him today." And that kind of stuff just makes me so happy. I feel like I'm doing something right. Just something inside me I just feel so warm and fuzzy. It's just such a good feeling to have. There's no other way to express it, but it feels so nice to have that bond and that trust, and it forms, I feel, a really healthy classroom environment as well. So
Absolutely.
that's very important to me also.
I love the way you describe that, Justin. I think that what would be really wonderful is if more educators, or we could just strengthen this belief that we're partners with children, we're co-collaborators, we are researching together, we're scientists together, that it's not just imparting wisdom and knowledge and experiences onto children, but what can be really powerful is when that trusting relationship is created, that children can soar, they can take risks, they can be vulnerable, they can try things that they might be a little nervous to do. So I love hearing how you describe that. Thank you. We have a final episode that we'll be doing, which is, we're calling it What Makes a Quality Early Childhood Environment. And I think one of the sort of myths or misconceptions that we were chewing on one day as we were talking, Sheila, was about this idea of academics. And, does a program need to have a heavy academic focus in order to be considered high quality? Is that the place to sort of land as far as what we call high quality in early childhood environment?
Yeah. And of course, those of us in this virtual room that we're in right now knows no. Be interesting to have a variety of people coming on, including Shauna, talking about family childcare home environments and how valuable and beautiful and meaningful a home-based learning and care environment is. And we also have an expertise coming in from a nature-based program, and that what the general public may visualize as early learning environments is not necessarily what we know is best for development. So that's going to be really, really great. And, Shauna, I'm so excited for that episode to hear more about how you make your environment work for you, because it's your home, but
Right.
also a special place for kids. Do you want to share a quick bit there?
So I pretty much set up the space so it would work with the kids. Like they can access their toys and everything's out for them. And they have a nice quiet area, a table to play, a table for the older ones to get away from the babies. So the babies are not always grabbing their stuff. They have dramatic play, different setups and everything. And then I love to take them outside. In the summertime, we are outside almost half the day. We have so much fun. I just feel like as long as you have like child appropriate furniture and toys and lesson plans and a good amount of space, anyone could really make it work.
Yeah, the things that really, really matter are the relationships and what's available to the children so that you can follow their interests and help them grow as they're ready to grow. And I think that's a beautiful thing to share. It's going to be a good season, Liz.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to close now, but look for episode 2 coming soon. And that's where we talk about circle time, the ins and outs, pros and cons, and the misconceptions. So thank you to Justin and Shauna and Kim for joining us for our first episode of season 4. It's so great to have you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. All right. Thank you. See you on episode 2.
Yay.